If your TV is glowing for more than 4 hours, probably get that looked at. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to I Saw the TV Glow. This is a new movie. It's just come to streaming, and I am very excited for it because I don't remember the entire gist of the film from the trailer I saw. I saw a trailer, and that's actually how I found out about this movie. I think I saw it on TikTok. Um, but I don't remember like everything about what I saw in the trailer. In fact, I remember practically nothing, which is good because going into it as blind as possible sounds fun. All I remember is it looked really interesting, and it stars Justice Smith. You might know Justice Smith from the horror video game The Quarry. You might know him from Detective Pikachu, Jurassic World. I think he was in the second and I think he was the second and third Jurassic World movies. I think. And various other things here and there. Justice Smith is a really good. Oh, he was in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. There's that as well. He's a really good underrated actor who I really think needs more roles. Like he's gotten plenty of roles lately, but I still think he's just not getting the attention he deserves. Cause he's like super talented. He's super talented. He's got like just great acting ability. He has good range. He's very good at comedy. He's very good at seriousness. He's just a great actor. And I want to see him in more stuff. And this movie in particular, from what I've heard, has gotten a lot of praise. I've seen a couple a couple creators. That's what I was trying to think of. A couple creators on TikTok who do like, oh, these are my favorite action movies of the year so far and stuff. And there's one who's like, oh, these are my favorite horror movies of the year so far. And one of them was I Saw the TV Glow. And so I've seen that person and plenty of others praising this film, saying that it's just really good. And one of the other things I know about it kind of makes that track, because this is A24. This is the same studio that brought you Lamb. I think they were Hereditary, right? Has Been Hotel, if you want to add that in. And plenty of other great films, both horror and not. And they've just really made a name for themselves in the past years. Like they've really come up and become a noteworthy film studio. And I love that people look at them like not as like that weird company anymore, but they actually look at them as just a valid film company that just, tends to focus on like some more unique content. A lot of it being horror themed or it's somewhat similar to that. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see what we got from this one. Like I said, I don't actually remember much of anything from the trailer, so I don't like know what the plot is. I don't know who else is in this besides Justice Smith. So this is going to be an interesting experience. But like I said, I have heard great things about this, and I'm very excited because of that. I'm hoping this ends up really living up to the hype that people have said about it, as well as just the hype of Justice Smith being in it. So, that being said, we are going to just get on with this, not waste any more time. But before we get to it, we are going to waste a little bit more time by reminding you that we have a lot of great content to check out on this channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Monday specifically, we also do YouTube or YouTube adjacent reactions, shorts, specials, miniseries that just don't have a lot of episodes, or, actual YouTube content. Basically, anything that doesn't quite fit into a normal series reaction or a movie reaction goes in this slot. We also, speaking of movie reactions, have those every Saturday and Sunday. Most of the time. Sometimes we might switch it up a little bit. For example, next week we are actually going to be doing a Zatoichi week, where we're going to be doing 5 days, Monday through Friday, of Zatoichi movies. Because there's so goddamn many of those, and I need to catch up to some of them. But yeah, we're going to be doing an entire week of that, so it means, like, no weekend stuff as normal. But you're having 5 movies instead, so, hey. Anyway, moving on, we also have some Let's Play content on the channel to check out. By the time you're seeing this, Spider-Man 2 will have already finished, and we will have started with Horizon Forbidden West. So I hope you've been checking out the Let's Plays for that. And this channel banner will change just the day I'm recording this. The day I'm pre-recording this is, I haven't changed it yet. So just as a note there. But yeah, Horizon Forbidden West, it has taken over for Spider-Man 2, which finished back on Tuesday. We also will have started Poppy Playtime probably by the time you're seeing this, because that should be going up on the same day as this, Saturday. Poppy Playtime is our new Saturday series for at least 1 or 2 weeks, something like that. It is a donation reward series, Let's Play, for Venom. And it's not taking over completely from Anno Mutationum. Anno Mutationum's just on break. It will be back. Poppy Playtime is just taking the spot for the moment, while I take this break to just get ready for the last portion of Anno Mutationum. But yeah, so Poppy Playtime will have already probably been put up by the time you're seeing this. So yeah, fun. Sorry, I'm not great with horror games. But you'll probably already have been able to see that. All of that being said, though, let's get into the reaction and see what I Saw the TV Glow has going for it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because, yes, we do redirect all reactions on this channel. That even includes movies. So, this is just, I understand, not going to be the most popular thing, but you have to understand how it is. YouTube's copyright system is really shitty, and because of that, I don't want to risk getting any channel strikes or, even worse, a channel termination. I've dealt with that in the past, both of them actually, and I just don't want to deal with them again. So to be safe, I'm choosing to push all reactions to another site. And luckily, you don't have to worry about all these extra links just to get to the reaction. It's just one link down in the description below. It'll take you straight to the video where you'll get to see the full unedited reaction completely free. Everyone will. I know that's maybe surprising for you, but it is entirely free. No paywall, no Patreon subscription required, and you don't even have to sync up your own copy. That's really cool, because rightly so, and like for good reason, a lot of reactors just aren't able to get up a full unedited reaction for free like this, especially if you don't have to sync up your own copy. And it's completely reasonable, and there's a lot of good reasons why, but I do pride myself on being a channel that can get it all to you for free with no syncing up. So I hope you enjoy the content, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts. It will not only contain spoilers to the movie, but my general thoughts on it, general thoughts on the performances and everything, all of that jazz. And sometimes it might even contain stuff related to, the channel. It's always worth checking out just to be safe. And yeah, all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I there's a there's a certain feeling when you have a theory about a movie as you're watching it, and you heavily regret not saying it out loud, especially once you finish the movie, look it up, and find out that your theory is entirely correct. You feel like shit for not revealing it sooner, because I'm afraid people watching this are not going to believe me when I say that as I was watching this, and especially as the closer got to the end, the more I started to realize and started to theorize that this movie is about the trans experience. And I looked it up, and it is. The creator of this movie, let me make sure I get the name right here. The writer and director, the creator of the film, Jane Schoenbrunn. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. It's like Schoenbrunn, is a trans feminine, non-binary person. Director, writer, all of that. And Schoenbrunn has frequently described the film as being about the egg crack, a term for the moment in a trans person's life when they realize their identity does not correspond to their assigned gender, and said that Owen's choice to not bury himself alive with Maddie, an ultimate existential crisis, was illustrative of their personal fears and potentially living out their life without having transitioned. This movie is absolutely, literally about that. Now, this movie I heard was a horror movie, but I would not consider it one. Even though, like, once you realize the theming and messaging about it, you can kind of see, like, the existential horror aspects. And that's in the movie for sure. There is definitely existentialism in the film. Which I don't know if it was the way it was handled in this, but usually existentialism freaks me out. But I actually wasn't freaked out by it here. I don't know if it was the way it was handled or whatnot, but yeah. But it's like you can kind of see a little bit of that, but I would consider this more of a dramatic mystery than a dramatic horror. There's little bits of horror theming to it, but it never actually gets like full horror to me. That maybe that's just me. And I'm not saying that it's not horror because, oh, there's no monsters or like jump scares or anything. No, it's not having to do with that. It's just none of it felt like it was meant to be like a horror. It never felt like it was meant to be scary or frightening or anything like that. But a mystery for sure. The mystery focus was very heavy. And again, kind of the psychological existential stuff with it is in here, but I wouldn't call it an existential horror. It's just, it never quite reaches that level for me, personally. I could see people not liking this, but apparently those people are few and far between, because this movie did really well. It's been received extremely well, not just for its obvious trans allegories, which the fact that I even realized were the case, like, that's saying something, because I don't usually recognize that stuff. I'm actually sometimes pretty bad at recognizing allegories and all. But it's like I was starting to kind of get it, again, near the end of the film. It's like, especially once it kind of like was revealing the idea that he was actually, you know, Tara in this other world and everything, and he was trapped in like this fictional world by the Melancholy Man or whatever his name was. It's like I started to think it's like this is a trans allegory, and it's like it's a weird trans allegory. Don't get me wrong. It's a weird movie. It's very unique and very um unapologetically and intensely strange in its presentation. But I kind of dig that. But like I said, I can kind of see why some people might not like this movie because it's a very slow burn. I feel like I feel like this is one of those films that you have to just be ready to not like expect too much to happen in until the end. You have to expect that going in. Because like otherwise you're going to be like waiting forever for something to not happen. And mind you, I didn't really have an expectation one way or the other for how the pacing was going to go, but um I think I was okay. It was just I was admittedly waiting at points for things to happen, but once I started to realize how much of a slow burn it started to make a lot more sense to me. Now, I, I guess you could compare the slow burn of it to something like Blair Witch, though Blair Witch is more overtly horror. Um, it's a very slow film that if you're wanting there to be a lot of action, a lot of like stuff happening, you're not going to get that. It's mostly build up and set up throughout the film that ends off in the big climax, the big moment that everything is kind of, revealed in. And speaking of, I also went back. Apparently, like after he put his head through the TV screen and everything, and his like father was like helping him wash off or kind of making him wash off or whatever. Apparently, from what I read there, he would like the stuff he was screaming. I didn't quite catch while I was watching. He was screaming about this all not being real. So even before Maddie or oh god, I forgot what her otherworld name would be. There was Tara, and then there was Isabel. That's it. Um, but no, wait, no, she's Tara. She was calling him he's Isabel. Sorry, I got that mixed up before. Um, but yeah, she was telling him she was before she told him about this all being fake and all. He had already kind of realized it, and that's something I didn't realize while watching. This is definitely one of those movies that you would have to watch multiple times to get all the details on, though. So I'm not upset that I didn't notice that. It's just yeah, he was kind of screaming it, and it was kind of like insanity. But yeah, it's like he was screaming about it all being fake and about this not being his world and stuff. But when she started to tell him that, he had kind of reacclimated to things, and that's why he didn't believe her. And and when he eventually panicked and left her and decided not to go back, it's like it was because of how this world had tricked him and everything. I also love how this actually utilizes fourth wall stuff and everything as part of the narrative. Like the entire fact that he's narrating is actually part of the narrative. Because like she's telling him, it's like, oh, it's like, don't you think it's weird that time has been passing so quickly? It's like you feel like you've been narrating your own life. And it's like this stuff has literally been happening in the movie. There's all these different time skips throughout the film, and it's like that's representative of time passing so quickly. It's like again, it starts off like, oh, we skip ahead a couple years, but then it's like 5 years or 10 years or eventually 20 years into the future. He's like what, 45 to 50, somewhere in that range at the end. And it's wild to like integrate that in the way that they did, because other movies have obviously integrated fourth wall breaks into things before. Obviously the Deadpool movies are great examples of fourth wall movies, but it's not quite, at least I don't think I've seen anything quite done like this. And the interesting thing is, like, with the entire, like, his actual world and everything, it's like clearly his asthma and all is that grew to be really bad like 20 years later is meant to be indicative of the fact that he's, you know, running out of breath and everything, but also with the trans allegory, it's indicative of him, like, kind of coming to terms and realizing that he's lived his entire life without, like, truly acknowledging and being honest and open about who he is and coming to terms with that. There's even the scene in the movie that's called back to where they're sitting on the bleachers and talking about their sexuality and everything. She talks about being a lesbian, about being into girls and all. And when he's asked about it, he's like, I don't know. It's all so confusing, but I feel like I'm not supposed to be here or something like that. And it's like, that's actually a really big sign of the trans allegory if you think about it. There's a lot of, like, notable things with that. But it's like, that's called back to in the film, like when they're talking and everything at the bar. She actually calls back to that in reference to how he's actually, you know, Isabel. This is a really unique, interesting movie. And as I made clear when I did my reaction to Blair Witch and everything, it's like, I'm good with slow burn stuff. As long as the payoff is great, as long as it feels like it's worth it in the end, I'm fine with slow burn. And I was all fine with this because things kept building as it went along. It never felt like it was, like, not doing anything. You know what I mean? It always felt like something was happening and something was being, like, told to us. We just didn't realize it. And I mentioned Justice Smith's performance at the end there during when he finally broke and everything. I mentioned how just amazing his performance there was and just how great of an actor he is. But I want to praise some of the other actors here. So Maddie was Bridget Lundy Payne, who apparently is in Atypical and Bill and Ted Face the Music. She was fantastic. She was great in portraying her role. She felt very believable, both before and after you find things out. I like the corny acting of the show, both in the past, like where it's like portrayed as like this great thing, but then in the future too, where it's portrayed as like kind of goofy and silly Goosebumps like series, you know? The actors in that did a great job with both sides of that. Also, apparently Frank, who I think was the father in this world, is Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. And I'm just like, the fuck it is? It's like, that's fucking Fred Durst? What a random ass cameo. Completely random. But Emma Portner probably had the most roles in this. Emma Portner played Mr. Melancholy, Marco, Amanda, and the evil clown. So that's pretty interesting too. And apparently, Phoebe Bridgers, Haley Dahl, and their band Sloppy Jane, as well as Christina Esfandiari, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and her band King Women, or King Woman, both of those are real bands that were in this. So they brought in some, like, genuine, real bands to this. Also, according to this, I See the TV Glow was also heavily inspired and influenced, drawing parallels as well to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so that's pretty interesting. I could see that. The Pink Opaque apparently specifically featured similar elements, like strong female leads and a mix of Mythic and Monster of the Week episodes. So, yeah, that's interesting. It also draws inspiration from Schönbrun's recurring dream about Twin Peaks, okay, and aims to capture a Lynchian terror inspired by its follow up, Twin Peaks The Return. The film intertwines themes of TV series endings and revivals. Okay. um, yeah, this was a really fascinating film. The fact that it is about the trans experience and specifically about egg cracking and like finding out you're trans, realizing you're trans, and even like, you know, kind of refusal to acknowledge and admit it, refusal to come out, refusal to like be open about yourself, because that's something I've experienced as a trans feminine non-binary individual myself. um I personally have experienced that kind of thing where it's like, oh, I'm kind of aware of things, but I'm refusing to believe it. I'm refusing to acknowledge it. Because if I'm being honest, and I've kind of talked about this before, but if I'm being honest, I kind of knew I was a girl, like, when I was a kid. The problem is because of the way I was raised and my influences around me, I always kind of ignored it. I always kind of pushed it away and just like pretended like the feelings that I had inside were invalid. I just I wouldn't believe them. I refused to believe them. And it's the same here with him refusing to believe that he might not be him, that he might be Isabel in this other world. And I've been to the point where it's like I've really come to realize it, and I've ran away from it. It was only in 2017 that I found the courage to really discover it about myself, to really do a lot of research into it, and to really understand it. And that's what allowed me to come out. Because it's like, I didn't really know for a long time what transgender even was. And even after I had found out, it's like I didn't want to believe because of, again, influences and stuff around me. But in 2017, I started to look at articles. I started to read people's stories about it. I started to do research. And I came to realize it's like, oh no, this is me. That is, I'm trans. I'm a girl. And I talked about it with my friend Kieran at YomaCon. And he led me to talk about it with another trans woman who he knew there. And we just kind of like, briefly discussed it and what it meant and what these feelings I was going through were and stuff. And like later that month, I fully came out. And I admit I probably should not have come out as quickly and easily as I did. I like broke through that like right quick because I didn't want to hide it. And in retrospect, I kind of wish I stayed a little more closeted to at least some people a little longer. I kind of wish I just like, didn't come out as quickly and as like haphazardly as I did, because I did not put any thought into it. Like when I realized, it's like I just kind of like, okay, I'll give it a little bit, I'll give it a couple weeks, and then I'm going to come out to like everybody. And I did. That's exactly what I did. I came out to everybody almost at once. Like, I think there were maybe a couple people I came out to earlier than others, but still. The point is, it's like I understand that feeling, though, of trying to run away from that feeling. Even though I've already kind of realized it on my own, someone has pointed me in that direction, and I've still run away from it. Now, just in terms, like, not thinking about like what the allegories and stuff are, just in terms of the film, I kind of like that it ends without like a proper resolution to things, because it leaves it open to interpretation in that way. And mind you, you may have noticed I was very surprised when that happened, when the credits just started rolling. But you saw he was starting to walk out of there, to walk out of that play center that they were at. Um, you saw he was like heading like out of it. He was walking away, and he was determined. He appeared determined and confident. You could take that to mean a lot of things, but to me it kind of meant that he was going to go bury himself and finally like wake up as Isabel. Which again, just thinking about the words I just said, very much a trans allegory. Like, oh my god, that is so blatant. um but yeah, that's how the ending came across to me, but it feels like it's open to interpretation, to where you can read it in a number of different ways. And I like that. I like movies that end that way, without feeling like they're just, random decisions. Because there's movies that do that where it's just like, oh, this feels random to leave this open ended. It doesn't feel satisfying. But here it feels satisfying because it allows you to imagine what's next for Isabel, you know? After everything. It's just a really cool idea, honestly. And with the themes and messages, it works especially well. But even without them, like I said, it's like even without them, you still watch this movie and it's like, that's satisfying. Because even if you just take it in the most literal sense, like, oh, it's like, this kind of could imply that he's about to head back to, the world that he originally came from. And that you could even take the idea that it's never too late. You're never too old to do that. Which also works again for the trans allegory. You are never too old to come out. You are absolutely never too old. So it's like there's just so much of this that obviously is wrapped in that allegory, but there's also quite a bit of it that just works otherwise. It works as a movie. It's satisfying, it's entertaining, it keeps you on your toes, it makes you think. And it's just well acted, well written, well directed. It's a great film. It probably wouldn't be top of my list, but I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it more. Maybe see some reviews if there's any on YouTube. There probably are. I definitely want to hear what other people think of this film. Because this one is a thinker. This one is one of those films you definitely have to think about a bit. But I'm so glad I saw this. Like, I was going to see this either way. So I'm glad that let's be honest, Venom, I kind of convinced you into donating for this. For those who don't understand what I'm saying here, just basically, I suggested some movies that could be donation rewards, and some of them were chosen. Not all of them, but some of them were chosen, and this was one of them. I have a list on the Discord. If you're part of that, you'll probably have seen that. I have a list on there that shows a bunch of suggestions. If anyone's just having trouble thinking of something, they can choose something from the list, or they can use the list to think of other ideas. That's why I have it up there. And Venom is probably my most consistent donator right now. And so it's like I gave him like a few extra ideas of horror movies, especially because he likes horror movies a lot and likes to donate for those. So yeah, that's how this came to be. And did I mention in the pre-thoughts that this was a donation reward for Venom? I don't know if I did, but I'm mentioning it now. So but I'm very glad that you did agree to go with this, Venom, because it's like I said, I would have seen this anyway because I was already very interested, if for no other reason than because of Justice Smith. But I would have seen it otherwise. It's just I don't know if I would have reacted to it. I might have if I hadn't gotten a request from it, like, I don't know, soonish. I probably would have just checked it out on my own time, just for a desire to watch it. But all of that being said, there are other great horror films, both of the past and present, still coming in the future, as well as films of all kinds of other genres. So just expect more great stuff to come as we continue along. And just keep in touch with the channel. Reminder that next week, though, this next week, we're going to be doing a Zatoichi week. So we're doing 5 movies each weekday. There's not going to be a Saturday and Sunday movie. But the 5 movies are all going to be from the Zatoichi series. We've seen the first 2 of those so far. We've reacted to the first 2. And now we're going to react to the next 5 of them. All in one week. Monday through Friday. So just reminder, next week, that's going to be the case. Obviously, you're seeing this on Saturday, so tomorrow for you guys, there's still going to be a Sunday movie. But I'm just saying, the next week after that, it's just going to be Monday through Sunday. Or Monday through Friday, sorry. But yeah. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. This was wild. Tell me your thoughts down below. And before we close this out, I do want to remind you all real quick that we have a lot of great content on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, and on Mondays we also have YouTube or YouTube adjacent reactions. Pretty much anything that doesn't quite fit into a regular series or movie reaction goes in this slot. And speaking of movie reactions, like I was saying, we normally have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. Next week it's going to be different with Zatoichi week. But yeah, normally they're every Saturday and Sunday. I pre-record them during the week and then upload them on the weekend because that just makes it easier. And on top of that, on top of just making it easier, that way I can get some reaction content out during the weekend as well. Every day gets some reaction content. And we're currently still doing some Let's Play stuff. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, Spider-Man 2 is actually finished. We finished getting that up back on Tuesday. And we have now started Horizon Forbidden West. I just have to change this banner. I haven't done it as of the point I'm actually recording this at. But yeah, so Horizon Forbidden West is every other day. Alternating like every other day. So it's like Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and so on and so forth. You get the gist. Every other day. We are also, when you're seeing this, like I said, we should have already started Poppy Playtime on for our Saturday Let's Play for now. And once again, it's not fully replacing Anno Mutationum. Anno Mutationum is just on hold for now. It's taking a little break, but we will be back to that. But yeah, Poppy Playtime is our donation reward Let's Play as well for Venom. So thank you for that as well, Venom. And yeah, if you want to know how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play, go to the channel search, and type in one search, June Double Reward Month PS5. It should take you to the correct video that will tell you everything you need to know in regards to how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play. Or you could just go to the comments below and ask me via a private message on the Discord, or via other social media, whatever works best for you. All of that being said, though, thank you as always so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this one down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.